do intend to do a full retro, as I said in my note. It is going to take some time. And then the other thing, just to close out a little bit, we are focused on one account right now, but this is going to be much bigger than just one account, and it's going to go on for much longer than just this day, this week, the next few weeks. It's going to go on beyond the inauguration. We have to expect that. We have to be ready for that. So the focus is certainly on this account and how it ties to real world violence, but also we need to think much longer term around how these dynamics play out over time. I don't believe this is going away anytime soon, and the moves that we're making today around QAnon, for instance, is one such example of a much broader approach that we should be looking at and going deeper on. So the team has a lot of work and a lot of focus on this particular issue. We also need to give them the space and the support to focus on the much bigger picture because it is not going away.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on when you are tuning in. My name is Jonathan Torres-Herrera, and you are watching or listening to the JTH show. Today, let's talk about BLM, also part of the Capitol protests, ? And Trump, only the first in the line of the social media purge. But first, roll the intro. All right, welcome back to the show. So excited that we are at episode 85. Not long ago, I was only at episode 5, so it's pretty cool. Now, of course, we have our usual guest / now to become co-host, Josh Lambert, on the show as well.
Thank you very much. I feel like I'm at home now. I feel like I could just kick off my shoes, put my feet up on the couch. It's great. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it's supposed to be like that, man. It's supposed to be hopefully a show where it's going to grow to where we have people and different points of views. Of course, now you're as a host here, but eventually we'll have some people that will come on as guests and give their points of views, and one day we'll get Superstar in here as well. And yeah, it's going to be a whole bunch of fun, right? But with that said, let's jump into the news. And by the way, before I forget, of course, you guys can catch the episode where? That's right, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Radio Public. We've actually had an increase in downloads, so thank you. So I know a lot of you guys are actually going in there and, catching the episode on the audio format instead of the whole YouTube thing. Okay, and with that, let's jump into the first story, and that is something that I personally find worrisome. I have mentioned it before. I know that some of you guys are going to be like, oh my God, JT, again. Yes, again, because it's serious, guys. It is. It's not world ending. No. I'm not going to be dramatic about it. But if you guys haven't heard already, what I'm referring to or will refer to is, plays along with the little stinger clip there you saw at the beginning of the show. And that is, for those of you guys only hearing on the podcast, it has to do with the CEO of Twitter, Jack Dorsey. Now, I've talked about Jack before because he's had a few meetings, hearings with, the Senate or Senate hearings or whatnot. They're, when they're questioning what he's censoring and stuff like that.
Mr. Dorsey, who the hell elected you and put you in charge of what the media are allowed to report and what the American people are allowed to hear?
And I've punched him a little bit because to me, it sounds like, he's there just because he has to be there, first of all. Unlike Mark Zuckerberg, who has also joined him in those meetings, the guy is more prepared, right? Jack, it's like, like the rebel kid, like, hey, it's my freaking company, which, by the way, he's not wrong, right? In the United States, at least, if you have a company and you have proper legal terms of service, terms of use, whatever you want to call them, and your users, right, agree to those terms, then they are at, whatever legal right they have to ban you, to kick you off their platform, to quote unquote censor you. That is actually not entirely my problem today, although I've been saying it, right? And in that video there, you can hear him say things like, this account By the way, he's mentioning, or he's referencing to Trump, right? Trump has been recently pretty much also, just like Parler, completely annihilated from social media, right? And all their accounts, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. I mean, Trump is pretty much gone off the internet, right? And, Jack is like, hey, this is not the only account. It's just the first account. I will give him yet again credit because I do stand very much in the middle of pretty much everything. And while I will punch the guy, I will also give him, the benefit of the doubt that it is possible that there's going to be more context to what, or more than what we saw in that clip. But one thing is certain, and that he is saying this is just the first account, meaning their purge, right? As I'm calling it, will continue, at least on their platform. And typically, what we have seen before is that when one platform does something, the others tend to follow right behind, right? It's almost like they work with each other, even though they also denied that when they were in their hearing, right? They're like, no, we're independent. Sure, yeah, legally independent, yeah. But of course, we have seen that now with like Parler, and we've seen that with Trump, and there's been other people, that have been banned in one, and all of a sudden there's like this domino effect, right? Tim Pool, by the way, another guy that I mentioned before, also is suffering a similar fate, right? Where all of a sudden he's feeling like his stuff is being throttled, right? So anyways, Jack now, as the voice of Twitter, is saying, we will continue doing that. This is the beginning. That's not the single problem that I want to refer to today. That goes along with this article coming out of the TNC.news, True North. Article headline, Trudeau government promises to censor quote-unquote offensive social media content in 2021. The article reads in part, the Trudeau government will introduce new regulations to combat quote-unquote offensive content and hate speech on social media in 2021. According to a document from a Department of Canadian Heritage obtained by Blacklock's report, the government promises new rules to scrub Facebook and Twitter of content it deems offensive. I've said this before. I don't like any content that panics people. I don't like to really deep dive and take conspiracies to personal, or for that matter, give them too much validity. Here's the issue. This is on paper. This is no longer just somebody saying, what I think Trudeau's going to do. No. This has been officially released. This is no longer saying, I think Jack thinks like this. We're seeing a video of Jack himself. That's a difference from saying, this is a conspiracy. I think, this is my theory, to now seeing it on paper or on video, right? On leaked, so-claimed whistleblowers released the video, right? And that is a problem that I will entertain, right? Not only as someone that is trying to get some information, getting some of you, hopefully, to use that critical thinking. This is me trying to reach out to people and say, this is going to happen. Now, you right now at home listening to this might be like, I don't care, dude. They're not going to censor me. That's what I thought. Now, some of you guys know this, right? Because you guys hopefully have been seeing the show for a while. And if you haven't, I've been myself throttled and censored. I lost an entire account that, our team worked so hard to grow on Instagram out of nowhere. No email. No little notification bell saying, hey, don't do that. No, just one day our team tried to go in there to continue posting, gone. It was the official, the JTH show, like I do with everything, all the other social media. Now we had to go and redo another one with JTH show JTH show. So I lived it. Here's a guy, by the way, that probably not too long ago felt like, hey, as long as I'm not too controversial and proclaim, right, a side in terms of political views, I shouldn't be censored. Wrong, right? That is at least my take of what I feel happened to my account, right? Can one day Instagram, when we do grow the show to maybe a few million followers, someone on Instagram be like, oh my God, we just totally figured it out. It was a bug. Sure. Nothing that I've been told right now. No one reached out to me. I've tried every avenue you can think about to get Instagram. I even messaged Mark Zuckerberg, not that he would ever see that message, but, saying, hey, at the long, crazy shot that him or obviously one of his maybe assistants see this. I don't know why I lost my account. It's still unseen. But anyways, my point is this, guys. Why is this a problem? Not because I think that people that are bad actors that are plotting dangerous things against other people shouldn't be taken down. No, by all means, that is not my problem. Here's my problem. As I was telling my team right before the show, we were prepping. The problem is when you have governments, like in this case, the Trudeau government or any other world government, including in the U.S., saying we're going to put together some people, 6 people, 10 people, 100 people, whatever you want, 1,000 people, whatever it takes to censor, right? To, or as they say, offensive content and hate speech. What's the problem with that? Well, let's consider that we have somebody working within that team, Mary or Jack, whatever, male or female, doesn't matter. She is a devoted Christian. And I mean devoted, like does not miss mass. Even if she had COVID, she's going to go to mass. All right. She feels that anything that's against, or in her, by the way, criteria, the Bible is offensive. She's part of that team because technically in many countries, you cannot discriminate, right? Based on religion or sex. So she gets a job and she lands a job being one of these, censor police, whatever agents. She comes across your profile and you share something that maybe shows too much cleavage. And, you are a person that says, ooh la la, I like these knockers, whatever. She looks at your account and you're like, strike one, Bobby. Strike one. Okay? Or Mary, one of these, what do they call them? Toxicas in Mexico, right? Shares something that's really funny, right? And says, I hit my husband. And she's like, oh, okay. All right, Mary. Strike one, Mary. Okay? What's my point, guys? I am being hyperbolic, of course. But what's my point? When you have people that have biases, inherently, we all do, by the way. I'm not accusing you or you or you or you or you. I have a bias. You have a bias. We're human. What I find offensive, it's going to be different than what you find offensive. It might be similar sometimes, but most of the time, it's going to be different, right? So I don't like what Josh put yesterday. I have a job at the Trudeau government, monitoring offensive accounts. Josh, sorry, I don't like. Bye.
All of my 3 followers, my mom, my dad, and my sister. Yeah, all gone.
I'm going to destroy you.
It's I don't know. It's a tough one because I think like the whole premise of like the social media thing, it was kind of like that unspoken agreement. Or well, it was in the T's and C's and stuff like that. It's like, if everyone just be cool, if everyone is cool and just reports stuff that might be offensive to people, that's fine. There is a lot of offensive stuff to me online. But you know what the amazing thing about technology is, and like accounts and stuff like that, they do not force you to have those accounts. You can turn off your phone. Like you don't always have to look at it. You can turn off the notifications unless it's for this show. And yeah, I mean, there is the option of like, you don't have to consume that content. I feel like there is kind of like that culture of people that are actually looking for stuff. They want to be offended in some ways. They need to kind of have that chisme, that kind of drama in their life. You know what I mean? Which is, it's not always the case. There is a lot of dangerous stuff online as well. There is that stuff, of course, yeah, that should be policed in some way. But like you said, should Mary or Jack be in charge of what is considered tasteful, what is considered, correct? And again, it's just because you're offended, it doesn't mean that you're correct.
Wow, I'm actually going to put that. I'm going to put that in a cup. I like that right now. What you just said, just because you're offended doesn't mean you're correct. I like that. So listen, on top of that, even if someone were to tell me, right? Because I've had these conversations with people, obviously, off the camera, in different social groups, and they'll be like, well, a lot of the times it's just an algorithm the company will put together. Are you, excuse me, but are you in the head? That's worse. Worse. For all the same people, by the way, that in sometimes the same sentence will be like, I don't want AI around me. I don't want robots to take over my life. We'll say, it's okay. It's an AI. It's going to be an algorithm, short of an AI that will just police me. And the computer's going to be like, I don't find that acceptable. You have been, what the hell's wrong with you? You know what I mean? Like, in my opinion, by the way, so if somebody were to still be listening and say, well, JT, what's the answer? I'll tell you what's the answer. If you're going to be that stupid to put something, or again, not when it comes to applauding something dangerous, I condone that. I do not support that. I want to make sure that I'm clear as I can be. I do not support any of that crap. But if you're going to put something stupid out there, right? If you're going to do anything around, I don't know, even something that's, that's close to being racist or bigoted or a sexist joke, right? Then you know what? You're going to be held accountable to that one day and you might not like it, right? It's one of those things that it goes along with like your driver's license, right? I'm going to try at least to reason with some people right now. A lot of you have had a driver's license for years. A lot of you guys brag that you had driver's license, or ability to drive legally, hopefully, since you were teenagers, right? Congratulations. I'll give you a like. But when your insurance skyrockets because you get 2 tickets, 4 tickets, tickets for this, tickets for that, an accident, you shouldn't have a driver's license. You should, walk your ass, to wherever you're going. You are irresponsible with that piece of technology. A vehicle is, in a way, a piece of technology, right? Especially if you have a Tesla. So, I'm sorry, you're not responsible with it. Same thing with like what Josh just said right now. You have the ability to turn it off. You have the ability to block it. You have the ability to tell these social media companies, don't show me this crap anymore, right? Now, if anybody's going to come and tell me, well, JT, what if you're influenced by it? That's a different conversation, dude. I mean, who the hell raised you? Who are you? If you are, and I've said this before on the show, if you are literally the type of person that you see something on social media, you're like, oh my God, I really want to buy this. You might have a different problem. It's one thing to say, oh, this is cool. I might buy that one day. And it's, buy. I saw it on social media, buy. Social media, buy it. You have a different problem, okay? So anyways, that's the way I would kind of put it, right? You have to be responsible with what's out in the real world without expecting for government, or in this case, big social media companies, to come and tell you what you should and shouldn't see, how you should basically be and live as a human. I think, again, sends a very dangerous message. But whatever, I'll leave it there because I know I can talk about this all day. And Josh has a more serious and more important story. So let's go to that next.
So I'm sure we've already all heard about what's been happening in the Capitol. I think it was last week or the week. Yeah, it was last week, wasn't it? So basically, if anyone has not been watching the news or has just been completely living off the grid until this moment now, in the United States, there was a incursion, not an invasion, an incursion of the Capitol. Okay. And this was mostly done reportedly by supporters of the right or Trump, basically a lot of people who believe in the Stop the Count campaign or Stop the Count protest. But in the news, I just came up today, I saw BLM activist involved in Capitol incursion and has been arrested and charged. Okay, so that was actually reported by the Western Journal, and the Department of Justice has also reported a Black Lives Matter activist who faces charges in Utah over a counter-protest he allegedly led against a pro-police group has been arrested and charged in connection with last week's incursion of the Capitol. And furthermore, the Department of Justice also said that Sullivan was charged with unlawful entry, disorderly conduct, and attempted obstruction of law enforcement in last week's incursion. So this guy, well, his name's already out there, so I'm just going to say it. His name is John L. Sullivan. His home address, I don't have his home address. No, his name is John L. Sullivan. He's from Utah. Is the founder of the group called Insurgents USA, which says its goals are to end police brutality and to empower and uplift Black and Indigenous voices. Okay. On paper, sounds okay. So, it wasn't only people from the right or the alt-right, or was there, what were they called? Proud Boys or anything like that? They weren't the only ones who were there. There were people on the left as well. So what was he doing there exactly? It sounds like he was basically trying to To put it in a not very nice way, he was basically there to try and stir shit.
Yeah,
Basically.
exactly what I saw as well. It's exactly what I saw as well.
He's basically there just to try and get a rise out of people, trying to, stir shit up. That happens. That's what happens when there's one ideology. There's going to be a counter ideology. Okay, so and then we move actually on to the same story, but another report. But this one's from the New York Post. This one actually made me laugh. I was having a laugh with JT about the way this was worded, and left-wing activists charged and claiming he was in D.C. to document the riot. Okay, so I just always like the way that there are certain news outlets that
try to kind of like you just said right now, stir the pot, right? Trying to get a rise out of people. And I think that a lot of these social media companies, including these news outlets, they do a really good job at putting that in front of you, right? But again, kind of go with what I said earlier in the previous story. You have to use that critical thinking and saying, okay, I see past your BS. I see what you're trying to do, and get to the juice of the story and not be led or influenced by the headline, right? Like in this case. Now, to be fair, by the way, because I did dig a little bit into this one as well myself. As Josh said, the guy was there essentially to appear like he is part of the protest, the same protest. And there is allegedly, okay, right now, because I have not seen it, some people that witness him actually even going as far as wearing a MAGA hat or a MAGA hat, whatever, which is the Make America Great Again hat, the Trump hat, the Republican hat, whatever freaking name you want to call it, the red hat, right? And, obviously the guy is a person that has been known now as a member of the Black Lives Matter movement. Now, as I've always said, and I've said it before, there's always going to be bad actors that join, movements that have good intentions behind them, right? There's always going to be people that want to join because they want to, stir shit up, because they find it as a reason to either prove that the movement is what the opposition is saying, which in this case, him joining the protest is saying, oh, see, everybody at the riot, was violent. It's not just people sitting there protesting like you just said, stop the count. In fact, the article on here says once inside of the Capitol, he tells the protesters, we gotta get this burned. Like he was literally trying to incite the other people there to help him burn the Capitol building down. Right?
Pretty much, yeah. Throwing gas on the fire, like we said, no?
So, I don't know, man. What's your take? What should this, serve as proof that BLM is bad, as some people want to hope it does?
God, I love it. It's so extreme in America. It's great, isn't it? It's just like as soon as one person from one movement does something wrong, it makes the whole movement bad. This guy, yeah, he was a BLM activist. That's correct. It doesn't take anything away from the good work that BLM has done. I'm not going to say that the good work is the riots or the police riots that happened in the latter part of last year or anything like that. No, not at all. I'm more of a anti-violence kind of guy. Like any kind of fighting should be like just not allowed unless it's like for sport, like boxing, nothing further than that.
Right.
But I don't know. It's a tough one. What the guy was doing was wrong. There's no other way to put it. I think in my eyes, what the guy was doing was wrong, trying to incite that kind of violence. You just got to let them do it themselves because they would have done it anyway.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Here's what I'll say to that too, right? Which I like to say all the time about the other side, right? Whatever we're talking about, the other side. So in this case, I would say that the same defense, right, that is presented on behalf of BLM and saying, hey, don't judge that movement by the actions of this moron, is the same stuff that I tell people all the time to think about the other side. Whatever that movement is called, right? There are movements that say we are more, on the conservative side, and we don't stand by the shitty actions of these people that you see sometimes punching other people, spitting, you know, it's the same, guys. You know, you have to, you know, be even and balanced when you see these movements, you know. And that's mainly why when we talked about the story, I was like, yeah, all thumbs up, because this is gonna get people, again, either of two mindsets, saying, oh, you see there, BLM is evil, which is no, stop. And if anything, to teach people, anybody that's gonna say something similar to what you just said, Josh, about, hey, one idiot shouldn't stand for the whole team. Exactly, right? So when you see the other side say the same thing, remember this story. Remember that story, right? Because, by the way, also, using that critical thinking, this is just one guy that got caught. We don't know if he was there with someone else. Usually these morons don't attend by themselves. Usually, right? Because they act tough in front of cameras, but really, you know, there's no there's no bolas there. They always have a little friend. Hey, you want to go with me, dude? You want to come along? So whoever tagged along, obviously, it doesn't sound like they were probably caught. Again, that's my prediction. I don't think this guy went out there by himself, because I see it all the time, right? I'm involved in news so often that I see, you know, the leaked videos, the TikTok videos, and there's always a group. There's always at least two, you know, if not more. So could have there been there more people there from past BLM protests, you know, now, you know, like Josh said, you know, stirring up shit now, pretending to be part of this insurrection, right, as they're calling it. Yeah, of course, you know, of course, yes, but they still don't speak for the whole movement of BLM. So that's just something to keep in mind, right? When you guys, next time you guys have an argument with someone online and saying, well, yeah, but that guy, you see that guy, he was with the I think they called them the Patriots, right? The other side.
Right.
Oh, see, they're violent. No. Is people there violent, or are you talking about the entire movement? Because in the same sentence, you can't say, oh, but that doesn't apply for this because BLM is great, but this guy's an idiot. Right? You gotta, anyways, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the thing. It's like we got to use that, like you always say, not to put it in, critical thinking. I'm holding it now. The critical thinking thing there. That, well, it's funny because both articles, but the headline, they used BLM or left wing. They didn't actually name the group that this guy was also a part of, which is Insurgents USA. Which is probably the group he was acting on that day. He wasn't acting in the name of BLM. He wasn't acting in the name of the Democrats. Right. He probably wasn't even acting in the name of himself, John L. Sullivan. He was acting in the name of Insurgents USA. Right. And that is probably a group which tries to incite, you know, some kind of reaction.
Clearly. Clearly. Damn. Well, I don't know. That's my final thought. What about you?
Yeah, I'm over it. I'm done.
I'm over it. Yes, I'm here. That's it for today, guys. I think that's all we have for the show for today. Thank you for coming back and watching these clips. I really want to know, and I'm not kidding here. I'm not trying to be cliche. I genuinely want to know, and I think Josh shares the same sentiment. Leave something down below. It always helps to see some guidance from people in saying, oh, you know, we like this, talk more about this. I've actually had comments of people saying, have you heard about this? And then I'll talk about that same topic or story, you know, a couple of videos later. It helps, right? As much as we can have the gear, as much as we can have an outlet, we don't know everything. And it also helps to build a community, right? To have a conversation, genuinely a conversation. So I'm not saying drop a comment just to be cliche. I'm literally saying, hey, give us your thoughts, give us your opinions, give us some guidance to see what what else we can do as we progressively grow the show and, you know, add a guest or just, you know, different topics, right? So yeah, that's it for me. Josh, anything else?
Yeah, well, just like you said, like leave a comment, send us a message on any of the social medias like Instagram before they block us again, or Facebook, or anything else. Just send us an email. You know, just get in contact with us, because it's all about having conversations. This show, not always about having the same point of view, but if you can talk to us, even if it's just a hate comment that says "F you," I'd like to know why.
Like that. Yeah. See, just send me that middle finger emoji. That would be nice. Just playing. All right, guys. Thanks for watching, and until next time, see ya. Hey, thanks for watching the JTH show. Remember, you can catch all the episodes, full episodes, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Radio Public. You can also visit www.thejthshow.com to catch episodes there, and to catch anything that we had to blur out because of YouTube or any other platform. We usually put all of our raw information in there that is uncensored. You can also become a member at www.thejthshow.com to catch all the special perks. Thanks for watching.